Hello, I am your host, Kathy Chester, and welcome to the Move It or Lose It podcast, a podcast about all things that move the mind, body, and soul. The Move It or Lose It podcast is for information, awareness, and inspirational purposes only. I am not a doctor, and I don't even play one on TV, so please consult your doctor before making any medical decisions. The views expressed by advertisers, guests, or contributors are their opinions and not necessarily the views of the Move It or Lose It podcast. Good morning. Welcome to Move It or Lose It. Today's podcast, we have Dr. Claudio Semplicini. Is that right? All right.
Yes,
my Italian
perfect.
did it. So our Italian doctor today, who's going with us with ExoBand, and he's going to show some of the products and just explain to us how it makes it easier for us to walk and some other autoimmune diseases, and share with us what he's created and all the science behind it. And let me tell you, his education is something I'm going to let you tell us where you've graduated from and the science and all of the stuff behind. I'm just in awe of what goes behind what you created and the team behind it, and just so excited about this interview. So I am take it away. So how did talk about the science behind, but first talk to me about what got you into neurology.
So thank you, Kathy, and thank you for
Yes.
inviting us. First of all, congratulations for what you do for the community of MS
Thank you.
patients, because it is very important to share experiences between patients and families dealing with these chronic diseases. So first, I choose neurology because I believe it is just the best field in human medicine. There are several reasons for this. First, I would say that the brain is one of the most fascinating organs with its deep complexity and immense relevance. It's what makes humans different from other species. And second, neurology encompasses a wide range of diseases, from very mild to very severe, from very rare to very common conditions. It covers everything from migraines to ultra-rare genetic disorders. And it involves also different organs. It's not only brain. Neurology is not just only brain, but also nerves and muscles. And third, the last but not least, I think that especially when I graduated in neurology in Padua, but even now in neurology, there is still much to discover, including disease mechanism, diagnostic tools, and of course, the most relevant part, the treatments for such a high number of diseases.
Right.
My initial scientific interests were in neuromuscular diseases, muscular dystrophies, ALS, spinal muscular atrophies, which are very, very rare and disabling diseases. And I was fortunate to witness the first causative treatments entering clinical practice. So I think that
very interesting.
This is very, very exciting for.
And the school you went
neurology.
to neurological clinic at University Hospital of Purdue, is that right?
Padua, yeah.
Padua, which is very prestigious school in Italy. So it'd be like here, like a Johns Hopkins or a Mayo Clinic, something like that. So it's a Harvard or something prestigious like that in Italy. So something that is not something that's easy to get into.
Yes, it's an old, very, very old university in 1222, the foundation of this. So we made 800 years of history a few years ago. So yes, it's a very important school. It was a very good school. Then I also went to Paris and Pitié-Salpêtrière, another huge and very, very important university and hospital for neurological diseases. So yes, I could see very, very important sites.
Very excellent. Very excellent. And so then something drove you. So something in that field, you were in that field, you were at the hospital, and something about watching the patients and knowing that they needed more, that you wanted to somehow create and help create devices to help them. Yeah. What made you want to do that?
So I am not the creator and inventor. The inventor and creator of the device is Fausto Panizzolo. And when I was general neurologist,
I'm so glad you said his name and you didn't make me say it, because I was like, I'm not going to get this out.
I will repeat it later. So, because when I was general neurology, I frequently saw patients with walking problems due to stroke, MS, neuromuscular diseases, or other neurological condition. And gait is a very, very complex activity. You need strength, sensitivity and perception, balance, vision, and also volition. But it is also one of the most important daily activities to move from a place to another one. So these diseases have a profound impact on patient lives. In the same time, a few years ago, I read about Fausto Panizzolo's idea in a newspaper here in Padua. I knew him because we were schoolmates in the middle school. He was working on a very effective assistive device, ExoBand, and he wanted to help 1 million person for walking better. I saw his solution like a potential solution for many patients I treated daily. So I started collaborating with him and testing the device in my clinic. And finally, I decided to leave the hospital and join Moveo to give my contribution by linking a problem with a potential solution.
Right, right. Excellent. It's such a needed thing. And I think about what I do, and I work on the other side. I work with movements. So I do what my field is exercise. So I work with exercise with our autoimmune world. So teaching them movement and how to do, whether it's with bands or whether it's just body movement, and how to connect that with the brain. And so it's so interesting to be able to use the devices and to be able to help connect that. It's such an interesting thing how that all goes together. And so, so being able to use that for the different diseases, what were some of the things that you noticed first?
So I think that the most striking thing for me in this device was the ease of use and the versatility of the device. It's very easy. It's 400 grams. You see, I have one gear and just 400 grams of device. It can be tested in a wide variety of patients. This story was quite long, but now we have more than 1,000 users in the world. So we have quite a solid experience about the device. And I think that what is most appreciated is that it's very easy to use and very easy to test it, and is effective in a high proportion of patients that are tested with.
Yeah, and now it goes, and I read in this, it's not just in Italy, but it's in Australia, US, and where else? So
that's in Europe,
yeah.
UK, US, and Australia. That's where we
excellent,
are now.
excellent. And you started this how many years ago?
So I would say that it's quite a long story because it comes from the US, in fact, because Fausto was studying he's a biomedical engineer, and he was making researches at the School of Engineering and Applied Science at Harvard when he worked on a lower limb exoskeleton. And then in the following year, the subsequent years, the development were dedicated to testing the device with numerous studies demonstrating firstly its potential and then its real effectiveness, and then simplifying the mechanisms and usage to make the ExoBand accessible to a significant number of patients with various types of disease and different degrees of severity. So we made this soft exoskeleton that doesn't need batteries, electronic components, just a pelvic belt and two leg loops that contain an elastic mechanism that stores the energy during the hip extension phase and releases back the energy in the hip flexion phase, and gives also stability. So the first devices were sold in Europe and Italy in 2019, 2020, roughly, and now we are available from the east to the west of the world.
Wow. So now, so that when it goes in the device, it vibrates, it gives like a simulation?
No. No, it's just elastic. So
gotcha. So when you go on YouTube, it shows it's a very easy video. So show them how it goes around the waist.
So this is a leg loop just above the knee, and it's connected to a waist belt. Position like this around the belt.
Yeah.
The leg loop contains an elastic mechanism that stores that during the extension phase, it stores the energy. The spring is compressed and then releases back the energy. The two are connected with a tooth guide so that the patient can regulate the pretension of the device to make more strength, more energy release, and more rigid the extension phase, and then releases back more energy. So
Very
it can be used
interesting.
with MS patients, but also movement disorders such as Parkinson's, or
Right,
weak
right.
patients like neuromuscular diseases, or balance disorders like ataxias or other diseases like this.
Absolutely. With MS, what would you say would be the biggest benefit? Who would benefit the most
So
in
I
MS?
believe that all patients with walking difficulties can benefit from testing our device.
Mhm.
So those with spinal cord involvement, but also those with weakness in a single lower limb, unilateral weakness, those who have balance issues, and also those whose gait is limited by fatigue.
Would it help with the
So,
circumduction?
sorry?
Would it help with the circumduction, which is one of the MS things that I know we
Yeah,
struggle
so
with?
it depends on the severity of the spasticity of the lower limb. It can help increasing the movement of spastic leg. If it's too much, it can be quite difficult, because if there is no knee flexion, it can be a little bit more difficult. But
Okay,
it's quite easily tested. Just 10-15 minutes of testing of the device can be
right,
sufficient to evaluate from the patient, to evaluate
right.
if the device is effective for him or not.
Gotcha. And then you also have one specific for the foot, correct?
Yeah, the name, it's a more recent device, ExoAnkle. So it helps
Yes,
with a similar idea, the foot drop, and
yes.
raising up the foot. It's composed, it's made a little bit differently from the other one, because it goes around the shoe, so it can be used with all type of shoes, and it contains another elastic mechanism that can be regulated with a magnetic buckle. So
Right.
also the tension can be regulated with this.
Yeah, I like that idea because you can regulate the tension, which I liked.
Yeah.
So I like
And
that.
I think that the other good idea that our group had was try to make an easy device also for the foot,
Yes.
and a device that can be used with all type of shoes.
Right, right.
Not just inserting in the holes of the,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, I like that. That was the one I was most, I thought, oh, I like that. That's something I'd be really interested in. So very, very easy things that just make sense, like this is just, it doesn't seem so intrusive to put on. Sometimes when I'm working with the patient, I think, where in God's name did you get this huge, just intrusive thing that they have on? And what doctor would force you to be in this thing? And it just seems like they can't get around or walk around, because it's more this AFO thing that they have on than anything else. And so I love to see something that makes it seem more free flowing, that they can actually move around their bodies more than something that's so just ties them down and they can't move.
Yeah.
So
That's what
I
we try
really,
to do.
yeah, it really seems like there's so much science to it, and that there's just like a very, just a way that would help them, how you can see how it would help you to move around, but would really, give you the ability to go forward and to not be stuck, but would to kind of help you come up forward and not push you down. So it's kind of interesting, not having done it, but I'm kind of just envisioning. I'll just try it out and then show it on the podcast and explain what it does, but it's very, very interesting. So I wanted to ask too, I asked you how many months and years that it took to do the ExoBand. You said, so it sounds like it took quite some time to get that all started. And now in the US, how exciting it must have been to get that, complete, to be in Australia. How difficult was that? What was the most difficult?
So I think that most difficult is rules and the bureaucratic part. It's quite complicated. In Italy, each region has different rules and offices and what else. Then if you go to Europe, even if we are United States of Europe, each country has different rules. And
Right.
So, and then when you move from all over the world, yes, it becomes intriguing to discover how to manage all this. But
Sure.
it's very exciting to be
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
and we are
it's so
going.
exciting to meet you and just to find you. And it's always fun to find something that just really looks like, okay, this looks like something that's gonna work. And talk to me about your team. What does your team look like?
So yes, it's a quite small but solid group. Of course, there is Fausto, who is the CEO and inventor of the device. There is me. And then there is a biomedical engineer who handles the technical and the product aspects, and that contributed to most of the studies that were performed over the years. He is here since quite a long period now. And there is also someone who manages administration, another person who will manage communication. And we also work closely with public and private centers that acquire our devices for daily activity or research, and also from researcher and professor from the University of Padua and other Italian and foreign universities who are still conducting or have conducted or contributed to clinical studies with our devices.
Wow.
So a small
Yeah.
group with a high number of connection.
Absolutely. That sounds wonderful. I know that this is going to be big and I'm excited to see where it goes. So, Claudia, I am so excited to have this interview with you and I cannot wait. I can't promise me that you'll come back and in a while and let me know where you've gone from here. And I want to try one of those out and I want to let everybody know what they feel like and talk to the MS world and let them know how this feels and what it's like to use those. So stay with me for a minute. I'm going to say goodbye to our audience. And if you don't mind letting them know, if they want to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
Sorry?
If someone wants to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
So there is our website, www.moveoworks.com. We have my mail, medical, at moveoworks.com, or my LinkedIn. My name is Claudio Semplicini. You can find me there, or contact our company. There are phone numbers, mail, LinkedIn, social, Instagram. So ExoBand and Moveo Works can help to find us.
And I'll have that on the bottom of the show notes as well. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And again, we'll see you guys. Thank you. It was great to have you, and we'll see you guys again next week on Move It or Lose It. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you again. Have a great day, guys. Hold up. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Move It or Lose It podcast, where you can again find us every Tuesday, and also wherever you like your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Join us on that, and we can't wait to see you again. We're going to have a lot of exciting guests and working together. And as always, you'll hear us say at the end of every podcast, we are stronger together. So let's do it. Let's become stronger together. Have a great day.